Hey everyone, this is Peter Estes of ValleyCAD. It's another Just a Thought Thursdays. In today's video, what I'm going to show you is utilizing metadata within your part files and how it will look when you use metadata properly and when you don't use it at all. So let's hop on over to SOLIDWORKS and see how we utilize this. So you'll see on my SOLIDWORKS screen, I just got SOLIDWORKS open. I don't have any part files, assembly files, or drawing files open, just SOLIDWORKS. So I want to come in here and start up a new part file. Now I'm going to show you the scenario first when you start SOLIDWORKS brand new and you don't use any custom templates and you just use your own, the default templates that SOLIDWORKS creates when you install SOLIDWORKS. So let's check that out. So simply coming up here to the top of my screen where it says new, clicking on that, I'm going to see on my new SOLIDWORKS documents here that I got a plethora of tabs, right? Like I got a lot of them. The one that I generally use though is my VC SOLIDWORKS Temp 2018. But once again, you don't have this tab because you don't have this folder. You more likely have a tab that says tutorial or default on it. And so some of you might not even see this window at all. What you might see is this thing down in what it looks like this. And so to turn that, to switch from a novice way to an advanced way is the same way that I already did it. You come down here where it says advanced and you simply click on that. And now it'll take you to this window format instead. Now under the novice setup, you'll see part, assembly, and drawing. What these are the default templates that you have SOLIDWORKS looking to. And so right off the bat, SOLIDWORKS is going to say, oh, you want the default part, you know, the one that I created for you when you first installed SOLIDWORKS. So if I simply selected that and said okay to that, it's going to be the default template for when I installed SOLIDWORKS. Now, as you progress in SOLIDWORKS and you start making your own templates and so forth, you can go into your system settings and tell SOLIDWORKS to look to a new folder location for your default part template. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my advanced tab and view, and I'm going to simply select part. Once again, this is one that SOLIDWORKS installed for me when I installed SOLIDWORKS. And so looking at this, I could say, all right, it looks just like a standard part template. Now, because this is a default one, look at my bottom right corner, you'll see I have a custom underneath my status bar. What the custom one is millimeters, grams, and seconds. I'm going to switch this one just to inches, pounds, and seconds. Okay, you don't have to, but that's how I generally draw is in inches, and so that's why I have it set up that way. Now, if you are modeling in metric settings, then yeah, keep it on the metric settings. All right, so I really wanted to show you guys how to utilize metadata, and I keep talking about this metadata thing. And what is this? Well, what this is actually file properties of your part. It's what gives your part somewhat of intelligence and kind of brands it, and it's a name stamp that is given to the part file. And so when you import this into a drawing file or another assembly, all the information that's needed with that part gets transferred over, not just the part name. So if you say, hey, I want to make sure my dimension always shows over, or I want to make sure my material shows over, or I want to have weight, or I want the part number, that is all specified through your metadata, or also known as your file properties. So where's this located? Well, where you'll actually go is up here to the top of your screen, and right next to your sprocket, it's this thing called file properties. And so since I use it all the time, I actually created a custom key binding with the letter P on my keyboard. Now, if you are interested in making your own custom key bindings for SOLIDWORKS, highly recommend you check out our other Just a Thought Thursdays video. It is all about custom key bindings. So highly recommend, if you're not on our YouTube channel watching this, get to our YouTube channel. It's at ValleyCAD. And we have a playlist called Just a Thought Thursdays. It's underneath that playlist. So highly recommend you go watch that video if you want to learn how to make custom key bindings. All right, you can pause the video right now and go do that, or watch it after this video. Either one. All right, so let's keep going here. So what is this file properties things? Well, as I was stating, it is the information that gives, it kind of gives a stamp to your file as you share it amongst other files within SOLIDWORKS. And so whenever you start this up, by default, it's going to go to the custom tab. I'm going to show you the summary tab first. And on here, what you could do is give it an author name if you got special keywords, and this helps out with SOLIDWORKS Explorer and so forth. The File Explorer, you can use that. Also, you can add comments to it, give it titles, subjects. It's just a way to help out if you need to navigate for it, and utilizing some of the SOLIDWORKS softwares to help find it. The other thing, the main thing that I use it for though, is under the statistics. It tells me when this part file was created, when it was last saved, who saved it last, and also last saved with. So saying the version of SOLIDWORKS. So on here it says, hey, this was created September 6th on Thursday at 5 o'clock, and it was created on my computer, Peaceful. All right, cool. So where I want to show you is under Custom tab. So you'll see here on my default part file that there is absolutely nothing filling up this table here. And so what you'll want to do is come in here and specify a property name. So let's say, for instance, I want a description. I want to also give it a material, and I also want to give it a, let's say, a weight. And so as you progress within SOLIDWORKS and you create standards within your SOLIDWORKS and engineering and drafting teams and so forth, you are going to want to do this in your part template and then save that as a custom template. If you have questions on making templates, give us a call. That's one of the services we provide. Be happy to help out with that. Myself and our other engineers and draftsmen are very skilled in being able to get that done for you. All right, so I'm just going to say this is the information that I need to show off in my drawing files whenever I make a part file. So I'm going to make sure that those 3 items are there. If you don't do this, you're going to have to do this every single time you make a new part file. That is not fun, okay? So I highly recommend you do this beforehand, and you make these special property name callouts and so forth before, and then from there, when you save this as a template and you start making new parts based off of that template, all that information will already be there for you. So it really streamlines the process for you. All right, so under my description, we'll just call this JATT, because just thought Thursdays material. Now my material, I want it to link to the material of my part file. And so what's really cool is that SOLIDWORKS, under your value text expression, you can actually click on a drop down and select material there. And so SOLIDWORKS will put in a special property in there, and what it's doing is it's referencing the material called out in your design tree. Super cool. So if you ever come into this part and you change it in any way, it's done for you. Okay, and also under weight, I'm going to specify mass for this. So as you change your material, SOLIDWORKS will change the weight of your part because it does change for you. And so simply with that, we'll say okay. And so I was talking about the material part, right? So if I came over here and I said, all right, material, I want you to be plain carbon steel, and I want to extrude you out, and we'll say off of our front plane, and we'll just do a simple rectangle. So we'll simply go like that, go off of our origin, fully define our sketches, right? And so we'll say that this is 4 inches, and we'll say that this is going to be 6 inches. Great. So now we say okay to that, and we'll extrude this out, let's say 2 inches, and say okay. Awesome. So after we do that, we can go, all right, so let's check out our file properties really quick. So I'm going to push P because I created that as a custom key binding. And you'll see here that it says description is JATT, material is plain carbon steel. Hey, that's referencing what I did in my design tree. And also it specifies my weight. It's saying, hey, your part currently weighs 13.53. What is that 13.53? Is it pounds, grams, kilograms? What is it? It's based off of your units of measure when you create your part file. So remember, I came into my status bar here, and remember how it said custom originally? I switched it to IPS. So it's doing inches, pounds, and seconds. So that 13.53 is actually in pounds. Okay? So I'll simply click OK on that. So now that I have that, let's just simply save this, and we'll just call it JATT, and we'll say test 1. So I'm going to show it, this is based off of the default part file. And simply click save on that. And so where the metadata comes in is when you can import this into a drawing file. And all the information that's utilized in this part Well, you need to transfer that information to a drawing, because that way whoever's making it, they could go, oh, this part's made out of plain carbon steel, and that weight aspect, well, the weight is good because if you say, all right, we need to know what our payload is to ship this product, or and that's really what it's meant for, actually. And so many times people will ask, hey, what's the payload on this part or this machine or this box of parts? You can now say, you know what, it's roughly 13.5 pounds, give or take. And so have a little 5% to that, but it's actually really close to that. So that's where that's really useful. Okay, so from there, I'm going to make a new drawing. So we'll come up here to File, and we'll make Drawing from Part. I'm going to go off of my Tutorial tab because, once again, I'm going off of all the templates that are pre-made for me that SOLIDWORKS made. And we'll simply click on the drawing and say OK. So from there, I'm going to take my front view and drag it over and let go. So when I drag in that view, you'll see, okay, the only information I got transferred over is JATT test 1. Peter, I thought you said that when you import that metadata that will show up in my drawings, right? What the heck? You lied to me. Well, here's the reason why you don't see that information. It's because you have to specify special notes within your drawing template to look to the metadata on your part file. And so this is all in the process of working with your templates. And so if we look at this, I go, all right, hey, I called out material. Yeah, Peter, what the heck? I thought you said that material would specify here, and I have plain carbon steel. I don't see it. Well, here's what you got to do. When you are working with the default files and so forth, what you can simply do is come over here, and we need to go into Edit Sheet Format. So I'm going to click Sheet Format, Edit Sheet, and from there it gets me into Edit My Title Block mode. What I want to do next is actually import a note. So I'm going to go back to my Annotation tab and select Note. From there, I'm going to simply just, let's just drop it right here for right now. So I could come in here and say, oh yeah, that was plain carbon steel, right? Well, that's not really the right route to go because I specified that special data, metadata, in my part file. And I always want to make it, hey, this is going to be a drawing template. I want to use this drawing template for multiple drawings. Well, if I have another part that's going to be made out of brass, I don't want my material to say plain carbon steel. So this is where you start linking your notes in your drawing to special file properties. So how do we go about that? I would simply come up here, and under the properties of this note, you'll see that I can link this to a hyperlink, a link to property, which we are going to be working with, but also we could say add symbols, we can add locked notes and so forth, put a geometric tolerancing, add surface finishes to it, we could add datums to it and so forth. What we want to work with is under the link to property. So by me selecting that, what I want to do on this one is actually select model found here. And from that, if I click on my drop down, I'll see, hey, there's material. Now if I say OK to that, we'll see that SOLIDWORKS is looking to the model that's found in this drawing, and it's going to look to the file property of that part file, and it's going to say, hey, make sure that that part file has a metadata cell that says material. And if it does, it will populate that into this note. So I'll say OK to that, and we'll just push escape once, and we'll take this and drag it up to here. And granted, my text is a little bit large. You can easily come in here and change it as you see fit. So we'll say, hey, I want that to be a size 10 font. There we go. Now it fits. That's just working at it and making it fit a certain way. Okay, so now that I got that set up, we go, awesome. Now I want to be able to say who drew this and checked by and so forth. You can do that all under your part file if you want to, but metadata is also specified in your drawings and also your assembly. So you could give special custom properties to those items as well. So if I came in here and I selected file property, we'll see here that I got SOLIDWORKS format size, 8.5 by 11. Awesome. But let's add some more custom properties. Let's say I want to add a drawn, and we'll add another one after that called drawn date. And we'll just say drawn D, something like that. And just pushing tab a couple times, and then we'll say checked. And then we'll say check date. Something like that. And so from there, we'll say drawn. It's drawn by PE. Drawn date is today is the 6th, like so. And checked, we'll say that PE checked it again, and those check date was 9-6-18. And then so from that, I would just simply click OK. But wait a minute, it didn't show up in this cell again. So why isn't that? Well, what we're going to have to do is come back into sheet format and select edit sheet format again. And the same thing that I did by importing that note under material, I would have to do that for these cells as well. So we'll go back to annotation. We'll say note. And with that note, we'll just simply come in here. I want to link this one. And under link, I want to say current document. The current document means I want you to link to this current drawing file. So under my current drawing document, and I select property name, you'll see that I got the drawn date, checked, and check date. Those were the new file properties that I dropped in. So if I say drawn, simply select that, you'll see that my PE shows up. And I say OK to that. Awesome. And so if I just click that again and say, all right, let's do another one, but I want this one to link to, well, I want to link it to my drawing date. And we say OK to that again. And you know, we're in note mode, so it's going to just continually drop them. Not a big deal. So by me doing that, I can now move these items to where I see fit. And we'll just say something like that. And let's get out of edit sheet mode. Now, if I select P for properties, let's say I change my drawn by, and I'll just say JS. And we'll say OK to that. We'll see that my drawing sheet now updates and it says the name drawn by JS. And the date is 9/6/18. Pretty cool. Now, that is how you can utilize the metadata within a drawing file. Now, once again, to have to come in here and fill in all that information over and over again can be tedious. That's where you utilize templates to speed up your process. So I keep talking about templates. Let's check out the templates that I've custom made for ValleyCAD, and let's see how that can work for us. Okay, so simply coming over here, let's click on a new sheet, and this time I'm going to go to my VC SOLIDWORKS Temp 2018. So selecting on part there, I'm going to say OK. Awesome. So same process. I'll come up here, let's do a simple extrusion on my front view, and we'll say, okay, let's do that, and we'll say that this is going to be 4, and this is going to be 7 again. Cool. So we'll say OK to that. We'll extrude it out a certain distance, let's say 2 inches again, and say OK to this again. So that was me making a quick rectangle, but let's look at the file properties that I have. So when I select P, you'll see that these are the custom properties that I have for my SOLIDWORKS parts. So here at ValleyCAD, we don't make our own equipment. We help other companies design their equipment. And so whenever we are doing the custom designing part, I like to specify, hey, who's the client on this? What material is this part going to be? Are we making more than one machine for them? And how many of these parts are needed per machine? What's the weight of it? What's the description? And what's our dimensions of it? So for client, I'll just say this is YouTube because we're on a YouTube video, right? And so I'll say YouTube on that. Machine quantity, you know, let's say that we got 8. And quantity each, let's say we got 11 on there. So we are going to be making 8 machines for YouTube, and we got 11 of these little blocks that are going to go on those machines. Awesome. Description-wise, let's just say JATT, you know, for Just a Thought Thursdays on YouTube, right? Dimension, though. What's really cool about the metadata under SOLIDWORKS here and my dimensions setup here, what I can actually do is double-click on a part. And what's really cool about this, I'll just make this window a little bit smaller so I can see my part a little bit easier and see all my dimensions. What I can do is actually keep the window open at all times, click on that cell, simply come over here, click on that dimension, do an X, and let's specify the 4. And then we'll do another X, and we'll specify the 7 there. You'll see that SOLIDWORKS will put in the information of that drawing dimension name. Really cool. And so if I ever make changes to this, let's say I want that to be 8 or something like that. Unfortunately, I double-clicked on it there, so that messed it up a little bit. Let's just clean that up. You got to be careful on your clicks, as you can see from my mistake there. So let's simply get out of our properties here, and let's say I change this to 8. Simply do that. So it just grew. What's really cool about this is when I come back into my properties, you'll see that this is now 2 by 4 by 8. So I like to utilize that dimension callout often, actually. So we'll simply click OK on that. And let's go ahead and save this, and we'll just call this JATT test, and we'll call it 2. So after I do that, I'll simply click Save, and let's make a drawing from this, but let's use the ValleyCAD template. So I'll come up here, File, Make Drawing from Part, and I want to be under the ValleyCAD template setup, and I'll set up VCA. So this is my ValleyCAD A-size template. And I'll say OK to that. You'll see on my templates that my title block is extremely sleek and not much information in them. There's a reason why for this. Mainly so I can have more real estate for dropping in my views. So I'll simply drag in my front view and push escape once because I don't want to make more views. We'll see here that my part number gets populated automatically and my drawing file gets populated automatically. So if I save this and save it as a whole separate file name, that will show up down here. Okay, so I generally keep all my saves, part file and drawing file names the same, but if you ever change them, I have some clients that ask for a different name, so that's why I make that available. So I don't have any information on this. I don't have the material callout. I don't have dimensions callout. I don't have anything. That's where dropping in dimensions will come in. But I thought you said that metadata would speed up my process here. All that I see in my title block is drawn by Peter Estes, date is September 6th, and I see my scale, I see my drawing units, awesome, right? But I want to see more information. What material is this? How many do we need to make? What's our dimensions on it? Who's this client for? I thought that you made all this metadata for a certain reason. I did. And how I'm going to make that information shown in my drawing right now is I'm going to import a bill of materials. So under my tables, specify bill of material and select on that part view. I have my own custom bill of materials that I've created. And so here's mine that I created called part table. If I simply click the green check mark, bring it over and drop it in, SOLIDWORKS is going to go, oh, all right, there's your client. It's YouTube. Description is JATT. Material. Oh, I didn't put a material on this yet. Oh, shoot. So I just simply push Control Tab, come back over here and say, I want this to be brass. And we'll say OK to that, save it, and we'll see that my file properties updates to brass right there, and say OK to this, and we'll simply push Control Tab, go back to my drawing, updated automatically. And so by doing this, it actually puts all the information in the upper right corner for me, and the generic part number and so forth is showing up down here for me. Okay, so I utilize the metadata all the time, and you really need to utilize it and streamline your process within SOLIDWORKS. And the reason why for that is you need to create a standard, and it speeds up your process. It makes it to where you don't have to spend time putting in information into SOLIDWORKS. Instead, you get to design in SOLIDWORKS. You don't need to do this every single time. And so if you utilize the default templates, yeah, you're going to have to do it over and over again. It's going to consume your time, and you're going to get behind on the releasing projects. So highly recommend utilize your metadata, create your custom file properties. It will speed up your process. And so creating the standardization, it also speeds up your assembly team as well, and the machine shop as well. Because if they create a standard of going, all right, I know I always need to look in the upper right corner to know who's this for, what the project number is or client is, description of this part, I know the material of it, I know how big it needs to be, and I know how many I need to make. What's really cool about this, since I use this as a table setup, as I import this into an assembly, I have my own special bill of material table for an assembly file. But what's really cool is that a lot of the information that's shown up here is also transferred into my assembly. So that's why I like using tables for calling out my part files in a part file drawing. So that's just the process that I go about on that. So I hope this helps you out in showing how to use metadata, how it can actually speed up your process for creating your parts and drawings and also assemblies. I showed you two scenarios. Showed you one scenario with using metadata and another scenario of just using a generic part file that doesn't have metadata in it. So hopefully you guys got something out of this. I really enjoyed doing these videos for you. Once again, my name is Peter Estes. I am the owner of ValleyCAD. We do mechanical engineering and product design. On top of that, we also do 3D scanning, 3D printing, and also SOLIDWORKS and other CAD software consulting. So as I stated earlier in this video, if you have a scenario where you're like, man, we need to make templates, but we don't know how to do it and we don't have the resources to do it, give us a call or shoot us an email as well. That's what we are here for. We can help you guys make your templates and streamline SOLIDWORKS for your company. We love doing that for companies, actually. And so highly recommend you to check out our website. It's www.valleycad.com. Give us a call. Our phone numbers are on there. My email's on there as well. You could also email me. It's peter.estes@valleycad.com. I'm happy to answer questions. I would love to work with you, see what we can do for you. Also, check us out on Facebook and Instagram as well as Twitch. All you got to do is type in @ValleyCAD and you'll find us. So we are on Twitch often. We are doing live streams. We'll do live Q&As on there. So highly recommend you subscribe to us. That way you know, hey, when is ValleyCAD going to be on Twitch? So highly recommend that. So once again, my name is Peter Estes. I'm the owner of ValleyCAD. Love doing these videos. Please leave us comments. Go, hey, I use metadata for this scenario. Or, hey, I'm still trying to figure out how to use metadata. Can you give me a little more information on it? Leave us comments. That way we know how we can make better videos for you and also serve you in some capacity as well. So once again, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day and make sure you learn something new. See ya.